Hello and a warm welcome to the news on NTA International. I am Elizabeth Omori. Compliments of the season. Now let's take a look at our headlines. President Muhammadu Buhari signs 2021 appropriation bill into law, assures Nigerians a greater future. African leaders set for takeoff of a great continental free trade area. Plus, expectations high as nations of the world look forward to the new year. Thanks for staying with us. The 2021 appropriation bill of 13.58 trillion naira has been signed into law by President Muhammadu Buhari. The president also sent it to the 2020 finance bill, critical to the implementation of the budget of economic recovery and resilience. Performing the ceremony, President Buhari assured Nigerians that their hope and confidence of a greater future shall not be in vain. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has details.
Flanked by Vice President Yemi Oshibanju and presiding officers of the National Assembly, amongst others, President Muhammadu Buhari signs the two critical money bills into law to enable the implementation of the 13.58 trillion naira 2021 budget beginning January the 1st. This is the second consecutive year since the return to democracy in 1999. The nation's federal budget will be passed and assented to before the commencement of the new fiscal year, a further confirmation of the administration's resolve to maintain a predictable January to December budget cycle.
As you are all aware, our economy recently lapsed into its second recession in 4 years. We intend to use the budget to accelerate our economic recovery process, promote social inclusion, and strengthen the resilience of the economy. Ministries, departments, and agencies are hereby directed to redouble efforts towards implementation of their programs and projects in ways that promote the greater public good.
The president appreciated what he called sustained mutual understanding, collaboration, and high-level constructive engagement between the executive and the legislature, which made the accelerated enactment of the important money bills possible. This partnership, he said, must be sustained regardless of any differences in the greater interests of Nigerians. He, however, said changes made to the executive proposal will be examined and, where necessary, requests for amendment, variant, or appropriate adjustments will be forwarded to the National Assembly for consideration so that the core objectives of the budget are accomplished.
The 2021 budget is very critical to the delivery of the legacy projects of our administration. I also expect that the 2021 budget will stimulate domestic economic activities and create employment opportunities, especially for the youth. Relevant agencies are to ensure the realization of our crude oil production and export targets. Heads of defaulting agencies are hereby warned that they will be severely sanctioned.
And in view of the recent spike in coronavirus cases nationwide, the president promised to ensure timely implementation of the health and emergency measures in the 2021 budget towards controlling and containing the global pandemic, as well as protecting the lives and livelihoods of Nigerians.
As a nation, we are currently confronted with diverse challenges at this time. I commend the understanding, sacrifice, resilience of our people, both young and old. I assure everyone that our hope and confidence of a greater future shall not be in vain.
One important revelation at the budget signing ceremony was the disclosure by Finance Minister Zainab Ahmed that the 2020 budget was implemented a record 97.7%.
And this is to show what can be achieved when the legislature and the executive arms of government work together in harmony for the benefit of the people of Nigeria. So long as it is a national interest, we will give Mr. President the kind of support that he requires to make Nigeria a better place, to make Nigeria a safer place, to make the economy of Nigeria work for every Nigerian.
It's all about us. Government is all about everybody. It's not about the legislature, it's not about the executive. The president said it clearly. He said we also need the cooperation of the civil societies. He asked the agencies and the ministries to also cooperate, because that's another arm of government. That's another check and balance to government. And so we're calling on them, we're calling on the people out there to continue to show support.
The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Shamsuna Ahmed, is expected to provide further details on the 2021 budget in the coming days. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
And with us in the studio to speak on the outlook of the 2021 budget is Chairman Kalpalin Bains Farmers Processors and Marketers Association, Shita Mohammed Kabir. Mr. Kabir, it's nice to have you in our studio.
Good evening. Thank you.
All right, sir. 2021 budget appropriation bill has been signed by the president into law. What is the outlook going to be like? Let's hear from you.
First of all, we need to commend Mr. President for the second consecutive year that he has been signing the bill at appropriate time. So we commend the government for that. Secondly, this is, I would say, a budget of hope, especially if you look at the budget, the farmers, I believe, is going to promote a lot of farming activities, and that is what the country needs now. And a lot has been put. In fact, you can see that even yesterday, he has ordered Naseni to also make sure that all the tractor for beach are taken to the farmers. So we are kick-starting our agricultural revolution, and the budget is going to do that. The budget, you can see that it has over 4 trillion as the capital expenditure, and the current, which is 5. And I believe with this amount of money, and if you look at the budget that is going to agriculture and the parastatals that related to agriculture and industrialization, I want to say I'm getting more hope this year.
Okay, it's interesting that you're looking towards the direction of food sustainability. Well, looking at the sectoral spread of the budget, do you think it is capable of improving the standard of living of Nigerians?
We believe, we have hope. I've gone into the budget. I've reviewed it before, after when the joint house, the Senate and the Rep signed it, and I've seen what is there. I believe at the middle of the year, Nigerians will see different way of implementing budget, and they have given a standing order or matching order, I would say, to all parastatals to make sure that it's something like is done. And I want to let Nigerians also know that NALDA has come on board, National Agricultural Land Development Authority. So Nigerians will take this advantage with the money the funding going there to clear our bush and increase our agricultural activities in the rural area. So especially with the young ones, it's a big hope for us. The budget is a budget of hope, and I believe we'll kickstart the economy in a better way, and we'll soon go out of the recession. That I believe.
You said it's the budget of hope. So what is it in it for growing businesses?
You see that if you invest in agriculture the way this government is going to invest in agriculture now, we are not only talking of growing food, we are not now talking of processing of this food, and then mechanization. These are 3 aspects of what gave me hope, because if we start the mechanization, you find out that more youth will go into the farming. If you are able to also start processing, you see that it will take majority of Nigerian youth out of street in this year. And if you also look at what the president has put as marching order to the parastatals, he said that this budget must start implementation as from tomorrow, which is the 1st January. Which we've never had in this country. Before implementation of any budget, you get to March, in fact, from June. But he has given a marching order that as from tomorrow, because we need to kickstart the economy, we need to kickstart all area of agricultural revolution. We need to look at manufacturing, which it's been taken care of in this budget. Implementation is always the hindrance, and with the marching order, I believe that implementation will be very, very, very thoroughly looked into. And if it's well implemented in 2021, I believe Nigeria will get out of recession as quickly as possible.
All right, Mr. Kabir, we want to thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Moving on, President Muhammadu Buhari has applauded the outgoing President of Nigerian Republic, Muhammadu Isufu, and the citizens of the country for the peaceful and successful conduct of the last presidential and parliamentary elections. This was while granting audience to the leader of the ECOWAS election observation mission to the neighboring and Nigeria's former Vice President, Mohammed Namadi Sambo. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
Mohammed Namadi Sambo was in the State House to convey to President Muhammadu Buhari the gratitude of the election observation mission for the support given by Nigeria, as well as the deep appreciation of the government and people of Niger for his administration's continuous assistance, cooperation and encouragement. Describing the elections as successful, free and fair, the former Vice President of Nigeria explained that there was no incident that created any alarm and expressed the hope that this peaceful conduct will continue. For President Muhammadu Buhari, the Nigerian leader, Muhammadu Isufu, deserved to be congratulated on how he organized and conducted the elections. Muhammadu Isufu, he said, is going home with honor and grace. The president, however, expressed regrets over reported incidents of violence in some other countries in the sub-region. As he puts it during the closed-door engagement, seeing how bloody it has been in some other countries, Isufu must be congratulated on working out this so well to enable him hand over and go quietly. President Buhari also praised the work of the ECOWAS mission to Niger Republic under the former Vice President of Nigeria, Mohammed Namadi Sambo, describing it as very impressive. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
And as Nigeria counts down to a new year, President Muhammadu Buhari will make a new year broadcast to the nation Friday, January 1, 2021 at 7 a.m. A statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity enjoins television, radio and other electronic media outlets to join the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority and Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria respectively for the broadcast. As Nigeria prepares to cross over to 2021, some countries have already viewed the brand new year, the island of Tonga, New Zealand and Australia. Tonga, the first place to ring in the new year, celebrated at 10 a.m. GMT on December 31. The celebrations will be followed from there across the globe. Even though the big countdown happens just before midnight everywhere in the world, it's actually a sequence from one part of the world to another. After traveling all around the world, the new year eventually comes full circle. Japan, South Korea, and countries in the Middle East will be ahead of Europe, Africa, and America in witnessing the new year. The last places to enter 2021 will be the tiny outlying islands of the U.S., Big Island, which will enter 2021 at 12 p.m. GMT on January 1. Second last will be American Samoa at 11 a.m., just 558 miles from Tonga, where locals were celebrating at full 25 hours in the past. You're watching the news on NTA International. Let's take a breather. More reports ahead when we return. Do stay with us.
Latest entrant, latest technology. Welcome to Intel 4G LTE Advanced and experience super fast internet access today. Visit intel.com.ng or any of our stores in Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt to get started. Intel. Live more.
Thanks for staying with us. The race to develop an effective and safe COVID-19 vaccine is gaining ground in many parts of the world. Joyce Omechi reports that 34 countries have rolled out COVID-19 vaccines and started administering doses to contain the spread of coronavirus.
Scientists around the world are racing to produce safe and effective vaccine to combat the pandemic that has killed more than 1.8 million people worldwide, with the total caseload showing no signs of slowing. So far, U.S. drug maker Pfizer and German partner BioNTech are the COVID-19 vaccine trailblazers, following the publication of full phase 3 trial data. This has been accepted in 32 countries, including U.S. and UK. COVID-19 vaccine developed by Moderna has also been approved for use in the U.S. 4 countries have approved Russia's Sputnik V, UK has approved AstraZeneca, and Sinopharm currently used in China. However, some rich nations have either booked or bought most of the doses of these vaccines, while others have started mass vaccination programs, leaving low and middle-income countries at the bottom of the queue. Britain was the first to approve a shot for emergency use, trailed by Canada and the United States. Several other countries, including Saudi Arabia and Guinea, have also started mass vaccination programs. Global concerns about COVID-19 vaccine side effects are on the rise. As precautionary measure, health officials have advised those with a history of significant allergic reaction not to take the Pfizer-BioNTech jab. In Africa, many countries are relying on COVAX, a global COVID-19 allocation plan co-led by the World Health Organization, which is working to lower prices for poor and middle-income countries. The continent's disease control agency urges pharmaceutical companies to sell COVID-19 vaccines to African countries at discounted rates and allow local production to potentially cut costs. Meanwhile, Nigeria expects to receive its first doses in January 2021. Health Minister Osage Ehanire said that the country has an operational group in place to handle vaccines. The World Health Organization is tracking more than 200 potential vaccine candidates. 50 are undergoing clinical trial, of which experts say are looking promising. In the final WHO's media briefing for 2020, senior officials warned that vaccination is no guarantee of virus eradication, adding that the virus is likely to become endemic and the world will have to learn to live with it. Joyce Omechi, NTA News.
And China confirms UK variant of COVID-19 as African Union and United Nations peacekeeping mission in Sudan's Darfur region officially ends. Joyce Omechi is still our guide.
Let's begin with the global confirmed COVID-19 infections, which have surpassed 83 million according to Worldometer coronavirus dashboard as at 6 p.m. local time. Nigeria's confirmed cases continue to rise with 1,016 new infections detected in 24 hours, bringing the total positive cases to 86,576. In another development, China has confirmed its first case of UK coronavirus variant, and a 4-day lockdown is set to begin in Turkey in a bid to stem the spread of COVID-19 over the New Year's holiday. Meanwhile, restrictions are being placed on New Year's festivities around the world as many countries struggle to curb new spikes in coronavirus cases. Fireworks display and other public gatherings have been cancelled in Europe, just as France has mobilized 100,000 police to break up New Year's Eve parties and enforce a nighttime curfew. To other news, the African Union and the United Nations peacekeepers in Sudan's Darfur region are carrying out their final patrols as the 13-year mission officially comes to an end. Following a peace deal with rebel groups in October, the Sudanese government is to take over security in the region, where hundreds of thousands have died since conflict broke out in 2003. In the meantime, the UK government says it is set for its new start as it prepares to leave EU trading rules at 11 p.m. today. Officials insisted new border systems were ready to go amid concerns about possible delays. And that's a global update. Compliment of the season. I am Joyce Umetu.
Thank you so much, Joyce. Now to trade matters. African countries are set for the takeoff of the agreed Continental Free Trade Area 1st January 2021. The Continental Free Trade Area would be the world's largest economic free trade zone by size and population, and it is expected to increase intra-African trade from the current 12% of total trade by African countries to 52% by 2023. AFCFTA Secretary General says an ordinary session of the Assembly of Heads of States, which falls on 2nd January 2021, will pave way for the implementation of the first phase of the agreement. The summit is expected to approve Phase 1 operational instrument, which will then pave way for start of duty-free trading. And talking security now, the Armed Forces of Nigeria has between 18th March and 30th December 2020 neutralized 2,403 criminal elements across the country. This is in addition to scores of other terrorists and armed bandits killed by airstrikes during the period. Coordinator Defense Media Operations Major General John Enenche disclosed this at the end of the year media briefing in Abuja. Francis Fong reports.
Within the periods under review, troops engaged in series of land, maritime and air operations involving kinetic and non-kinetic approach. The coordinator of Defense Media Operations says these operations resulted in the rescue of 864 kidnapped victims and a recovery of 9,684,797 liters of stolen automotive gas oil, popularly called diesel.
33,516,000 of DPK, among others. And then, yes, it is good to point out here that 1,910 criminals were arrested, majority of them under investigation, and at the end of the investigations, some appropriate judicial processes have commenced, and others will commence on completion of investigation, of which we always fully.
General Enenche attributed the successes recorded to the commitment and determination of the gallant troops.
We will continue to sustain the offensive and will not relent until peace is restored to every troubled zone in Nigeria.
The military high command commended Nigerians for their support and solicited further cooperation in providing credible information that will facilitate proactive engagements in the coming year. In Abuja, Francis from NTA News.
Still in security, the Air Task Force of Operation Lafia Dole has neutralized several Islamic State of West African province elements and destroyed their hideouts on the fringes of Lake Chad in Borno State. Defense Media Operations Coordinator Major General John Enenche says this was achieved through airstrikes executed on the 30th of December 2020 after a series of aerial surveillance missions indicated that the location camouflaged under dense vegetation was being used as as a staging area where some ISOP leaders and the fighters planned and launched attacks. Nigerian Air Force fighter jets and helicopter gunships attacked the location, destroying some structures and neutralizing several of the ISOP fighters. ISOP survivors were hit by a second wave of rockets and subsequently mopped up. And security operatives have recorded another success in the fight against banditry and other crimes along the Abuja-Kaduna highway. Haruna Mohammed reports that 9 suspected cattle rustlers were neutralized by the operatives along the road.
Kaduna-Abuja highway was for some time a nightmare for motorists on account of high rates of kidnapping, banditry and cattle rustling along the road. Security operatives have made frantic efforts to bring the situation under control. The recent breakthrough was an encounter between security operatives, some bandits and cattle rustlers.
Our eyes are not off the road and other strategic locations, meaning that security agencies are not only on the road, they are also carrying out vigorous and aggressive fighting patrols to hideouts where the bandits are located.
The Kaduna State Governor Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai congratulated the troops on the successful operations, urging them to sustain the offensive against criminals. In Kaduna, Haruna Mohammed, NTA News.
Let's now join Kene Imagudike for a review of Nigeria's sports in 2020.
The dreaded COVID-19 pandemic no doubt disrupted global sporting calendar in 2020 to such an extent that sporting activities were completely or partially absent in most sporting nations of the world, including Nigeria. Major scheduled competitions were cancelled, and the few that were held featured no fans or spectators amid strict adherence to COVID-19 safety protocols. However, in the face of the challenge, some notable achievements were recorded in the sector in Nigeria and by Nigerians within and outside the nation. Recall that in August, the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports Development released the 2020 Draft National Sports Industry Policy to the general public for review and necessary input. The process, which is ongoing, will eventually culminate in the presentation of the policy for approval by the Federal Executive Council. In November, 8 basketballers of Nigerian heritage met the NBA draft peak, surpassing the 5 in 2017. 2 of them, Isaac Okoro and Onyeka Okongo, were drafted in the first round, while Precious Achungwa, Zeke Naji, Udoka Azubike, Desmond Bain, Daniel Oturu and Jordan Nwora were also drafted. Still on basketball, the D-Tigers ended their FIBA AfroBasket 2021 first-round qualifiers with a perfect record in Kigali, Rwanda, alongside Senegal, Tunisia, Egypt and Cote d'Ivoire. In boxing, Anthony Joshua successfully defended his WBA, IBF, WBO and IBO titles against Bulgaria's Kubrat Pulev on December 12 in London, while Efe Ajawa overcame his American opponent Jonathan Rice in a keenly contested bout in Las Vegas.